Welcome, everyone. My name is Joseph Coleman. I am Bob's son. Bob is on a plane right now. Welcome to week 4 office hours. I will be running this with Lance today. Lance, welcome. How you doing?
How's everybody doing today? I just want you to know that I tried very hard to get Bob to let me get on the plane. He could stay here. Bob's got a nice little well-deserved trip in line here today, and we're going to miss him, but wish I could be with him.
And we're left here to work. So let's hop into the poll question. You guys know how to ask questions. Just you can send me an email directly. I'm watching those, or you can send it in using the GoToWebinar chat function. So let's begin with the first poll. Have you ever had an SBA guarantee denied because of a lack of verification of the required equity injection?
And Joseph, I asked this question primarily because in the SOP 5057, it clearly states that as an SBA participant lender, if you don't verify the equity injection properly, there's a presumption that the failure of the business was caused by the lack of that equity injection. And it looks like most of our people have not had one denied. It looks like there are a couple that have, and quite honestly, I'm not surprised that we do have somebody who has had one denied because, again, if you don't verify the equity injection according to the SOP, SBA presumes that that's why the business failed.
Yeah, and we have a 92% say no, 8% yes. So let's go to the second one. What do you think is the most common reason for an SBA repair or denial of the guarantee? No IRS 4506, lack of proof of disbursements, eligibility issues, or improper collateral?
Always, as usual, always like to talk about things that hit home. I'm working on a purchase demand package right now for a bank, and my biggest challenge, guys, is we don't have proof of disbursement. So I have the bank lending officer going back and digging through the file because we need those proof of disbursements and the ability to match those back up to the use of proceeds in the authorization.
Go ahead, Lance.
What are the results are 54% think lack of proof of disbursements is a primary reason, 46% eligibility, 0% on improper collateral positions, and that surprises me because improper collateral position happens frequently on SBA loans. It's real easy to remedy that by sending in a loan authorization change request. For instance, you're supposed to have a second mortgage on a piece of commercial real estate, and when you do your title search, you find out you're going to be in a third position. And that's not something that kills the deal, but it's something that you have to run by and get approved by SBA. And I am stunned that nobody identified no IRS 4506T or transcripts, because in my loan review work, that's the most common thing I find missing.
Really? I had to shorten this poll question, so I'll read the entire thing. Do you have difficulty getting the standby agreement documentation from the seller when it is required by the authorization as part of an equity injection?
And I think I primarily just wanted to know because there's a loan that we're working on right now on the origination side, and it's a change of ownership loan. The new buyer does not have any real cash money to put in the deal, and the seller just doesn't want to do. He's okay with financing part of it, but he doesn't want to do the standby agreement as part of that equity injection. So I was just curious what our participants have found in their walk as an SBA loan closer.
And we are split down the middle, 54% yes, 46% no. So
that's kind of what I expected here.
Right. And the last one, when you have a change of ownership for a loan less than $250,000, who does your business valuation? in-house valuation specialist, but we do not do a business valuation.
And there's one answer that I hope is not gets 0%, but on loans under $250,000, you're able to use an in-house bank personnel or someone in-house that has some expertise. You can also use a business valuation specialist, and as I'm watching the results, thankfully, we do not have anyone who has said we do not do a business valuation.
40% use in-house, 60% use a specialist. Let's get to the. Go ahead.
I think, Joseph, that's a prudent lending decision, and a lot of it depends on what your bank would do on a similar sized non-SBA loan, but you can use either or, whichever your bank is more comfortable with.
Let's go ahead and move on, Mike, to the week 4 recap. Documenting equity injection.
Yeah, week 4 is a very important week. A couple of things. The equity injection documentation is critically important. It's like I said earlier when we were talking about the poll question. It's so important to document the equity injection properly. It does impact whether you're going to get paid on the guarantee. The Inspector General has had several articles in the last 2 years talking about equity injection fraud. One of the things, the gift letters, if you have a gift letter, you have to make sure you properly document it, because the Inspector General more or less came out and said if there's a gift letter, they immediately, the radar goes off and they think it's equity injection fraud. We talked about the business acquisition or change of ownership loan and talked about standby agreements. And on change of ownership loans, standby agreements seem to be a very common part of the SBA loan for change in business ownership.
Got a couple questions. Let's go ahead to the next one for the first email question. I'm going to let you set this up.
Well, this is a credit elsewhere rule, and I'm not going to read the entire thing, but they have a change of ownership loan, 2 unrelated individuals. It's a bar, and one of the individuals has a lot of experience in the restaurant bar industry, but no money. The other individual has money, but no experience. The second individual's pretty strong financially. They have a strong net worth. Their personal financial statement showed significant cash and approximately $800,000 in cash in business accounts and $100,000 in cash in personal accounts. And they were questioning whether this met the credit elsewhere rule. So my response to that is it does have the potential to meet the credit elsewhere rule. Is my response, Joseph?
Yeah, it's on the next slide, Mike.
Let's go ahead and pop to the next slide. I think the thing you need to keep in mind here, even though we've got one of the partners that has significant financial resources, the personal resource tests don't exist anymore. So the SOP states clearly, when looking at credit available elsewhere, that some or the entire loan is not available from the following sources: a non-federal loan source or the resources of the applicant business. So the measuring stick here is the applicant business. If the applicant business had significant liquid assets, if the applicant business had $900,000 in cash in the bank, the answer would be no, it would not meet the credit elsewhere rule. But the fact that you have one individual who has some significant personal resources would not necessarily disqualify it on the credit elsewhere test, but you will have to meet one of the basic requirements. For instance, the business needs longer maturity than lender's policy permits. Maybe your in-house lending policy is only 5 years on furniture, fixtures, and equipment and miscellaneous assets, and you can do a 7 or a 10-year amortization on the SBA loan. That would help meet it. the loan would create a problem with the legal lending limit, or the lender's liquidity depends on selling the guaranteed portion of the loan. Now, one thing I wanted to point out in this, the bill that was passed that refunded SBA through the end of the fiscal year, there was a little add-on on the credit elsewhere test. The add-on to the credit elsewhere test is no longer, starting October the 1st, you're still good, but no longer can you use the legal lending limit problem or the lender's liquidity issue as the only reason for meeting the credit elsewhere test. So after October the 1st, 2015, that, needing the SBA loan because of the lender's legal lending limit can't be the only reason for meeting the credit elsewhere test, or the liquidity issue needing to sell the guaranteed portion can't be the only reason in meeting the credit elsewhere test. So another example of meeting credit elsewhere, maybe the lending policy doesn't allow a loan to a new business or a business in the applicant's industry. Maybe your in-house policy doesn't allow loans to startups, and with the SBA guarantee, you would do that loan to a startup. So in this particular case, I think they're still okay, but you're going to have to meet one of the credit elsewhere requirements. And I don't know what happened to F there, but
yeah, it's about, sorry about that. It's any other factors relating to credit that, in a lender's opinion, cannot be overcome except for the guarantee. These other factors must be specifically documented in the loan file.
That's the catch-all. Okay.
Let's go to the second question.
Question 2, the authorization requires to take the assignment of a life insurance policy, and it's just talking about how does the lender monitor that, how does the lender keep up with whether or not they're paying their premiums, what should the lender do if they receive a cancellation notice due to lack of premium payment. Just SBA on life insurance is required by the authorization. There's no specific rules on how you're supposed to keep up with it, although there is some discussion in the SOP 5057 that it's okay for you as a bank to set up an escrow account for money to be deposited to pay those premiums on the life insurance. I think one thing that you can do is when the life insurance policy comes to the bank and the assignment comes to the bank, making sure that you reach out to the insurance company issuing the policy, making sure that they know if there's a non-payment of premium issue, that notice should go to the bank. Again, a best practice in this particular instance would be setting up the escrow account to make sure the life insurance premiums are paid, so you have a source to go out and pay to ensure that those life insurance premiums are paid. The other question was, what happens if the insurance is canceled as a result of non-payment? I think as a prudent lender, you've got to look and see if anything's changed. If the loan's 5 or 6 years down the road, the principal balance has been reduced and the need for the insurance don't exist, you can document the file and release that life insurance. But if that life insurance is still an important piece of the collateral picture, you may need to force place the insurance policy. So a lot of this comes down to prudent lending, but if life insurance is required as a part of the authorization, you want to monitor it, make sure the premiums are being paid, and if by chance it is canceled, you then want to do an evaluation to determine whether it needs to continue to be in place, and you may need to force place that insurance.
Lance, we have a submitted question from Cindy. Thank you, Cindy. On the 1920 page 2 at the top, all outstanding SBA loans, is this for existing SBA loans that the borrower and affiliates already have to take out?
Yes, it is. Well, when she says take out, it's just a place where you list all other SBA loans that the borrower or affiliates may have.
Thanks, Cindy. All right, Mike, let's move on to what's coming up on Tuesday.
Week 5 is a week where we take a look at various SBA forms and the note form, the guarantee form. We look at the loan submission checklist. We take a look at SBA Express forms and what their differences are, and we talk about the 912. We also look at the 1919 and the 1920. So it's a good week where we get comfortable and knowledgeable related to SBA forms necessary to submit for approval, and SBA forms that need to be in the loan file when you close your SBA loan.
And I think that's it. The last announcement we have is office hours next Friday will be moved to August 10th. That's Monday. Same time. It's going to be 2 p.m. Eastern with Lance and Bob. You will get a reminder with the video modules being uploaded on Tuesday. But I think we're all clear with questions. You got one more thing?
I just want to encourage everybody, please continue to send these good questions in for us to respond to. Brings a lot of value to this process. It lets us consider situations and what you should do as an SBA loan closer. So please continue to send the questions in. We'll respond to you during the week as soon as possible, and then we'll talk about it during the office hours session.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Have a good weekend.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
We'll see you Monday the 10th.